Liberia to pay former employee Edward Freeman $250,000 United States dollars for damages. Liberian Senate endorses an investigation of Senator Darius Dillon over allegation that he breached the Senate's rules. National Teachers Association releases findings of key issues affecting the education sector in Liberia. And off the home front, the government of Gambia demands a credible investigation after the son of a diplomat was shot dead by U.S. police. All these stories plus much more are coming up. But first, let's take a short break to be right back. Please keep watching. Many thanks for rejoining us. Let's take our developments. The Civil Law Court has ordered the Guarantee Trust Bank Liberia Limited to pay the amount of $250,000 United States dollars as general damages to former employee Edward Freeman. Edward Freeman sustained serious injuries on his face after being attacked during a senior staff meeting by then GT Bank General Manager Ayodeji BGD in August 2018. In his ruling, Judge Shipuli Doma found GT Bank liable for the injuries, humiliation, emotional distress, and mental anguish suffered by Edward Freeman. Counsellor Augustine Toll spearheaded the case as the lead defense counsel for Edward Freeman. He told reporters at the Temple of Justice Wednesday that he and his client were satisfied with the ruling.
Signifies that this country is a country of laws, that nobody will leave his country, whether you're president, whether you're managing director, whether you what, will come and treat another Liberian with indeed. What happened to Mr. Freeman on August 28, 2018 is beyond reasonable. Why would somebody going to work decently dressed in the course of a duty, and the manager, the president of the bank would take a calculator and hit his mouth that he was still with him? It's unacceptable. And thank God that the law has taken its course, and we accept the ruling of the court. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter. We are confident that with the preponderance of evidence that we provided here in the lower court, we can do the same thing at the Supreme Court. It's a matter of time. It is said that every long rope in the bush has an end, and I think we are going to the end of this thing. These young men have gone through this mental anguish for more than 2 years now. It's about time that this charter is brought to a close, and thank God that the judge has seen wisdom to award him what he did award him. And we are confident, even if they took an appeal to the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court would never disturb the ruling of this judge. In the final analysis, Mr. Freeman will get the just benefit as due him.
The Liberian Senate has endorsed its leadership committee's decision to investigate Montserrat County Senator Darius Dillon over allegations that he breached the Senate's rules. It followed a complaint from Lofa County Senator George Dengbe that Senator Dillon was engaged in acts that have the propensity to bring the body to public disrepute. Prior to the debate and vote over the matter, Senate Secretary Nambala Sembe read the committee's report in plenary Wednesday.
On Wednesday, May 27, 2020, Senator George T. Dengbe of Lofa County wrote a letter of complaint to the plenary of the Liberian Senate against Senator Abraham Darius Dillon of Montserrat County, alleging inter alia that Senator Dillon accused 23 senators of receiving bribes, rained invectives on them, tarnished the image of the Senate, and committed other acts unbecoming of a senator of the Republic. Subsequently, plenary voted overwhelmingly and referred the complaint to the leadership of the Senate. 2.0. Decision of the Senate leadership. The leadership met on Tuesday, June 2, 2020, and deliberated on a complaint of Senator Tegbe. Since the Senate works through committees and in line with the Senate standing rules and recent precedent cases, example, complaint of Senator Sir H. Joseph of Montserrat County against Senator Yombly Kanga Lawrence of Grand Bassa County, complaint of Senator Augustine Chie of Sando County against Senator Darius DeLong of Montserrat County, which were referred to special committees for investigation. The leadership of the Senate is referring Senator Tegbe's complaint to an ad hoc committee for investigation. 3.0. Composition of the Tegbe's DeLong ad hoc committee, the investigation committee. The investigation committee will consist of the following senators. 1. Senator Councillor Vernon H. Chairman from Grand Cape County, who also chairman for the Senate Committee on Judiciary. 2. Senator Henrik Tupa, member from Bong County, who also serves as chairman of the Senate Committee on Information and Broadcasting.
During this session, senators gave mixed views on the decision, beginning with Grand Bassa County Senator Yombly Kanga Lawrence.
The rules that even accepted or allow us to bring this complaint on this floor, which it didn't because we gotta have a petition signed by 2/3. We still will have to form the investigation team following section B of what I have read. So again, we have violated that to the point where the leadership of the Senate have met and already formed a committee to investigate Senator Darius DeLong. And I think that is wrong, and I want to appeal to this Senate that we should not violate the Constitution and we should not violate the Senate rules. Thank you.
And I think my belief is supported by our rules that when a complaint is made against a senator, that complaint should be investigated. A report made to plenary, and then plenary can decide what to do or how to dispose of that report. The citation made by my colleague, Senator Yombly Kanga Lawrence, is out of place.
He comes in the public and pretends that it's very clean, but that's the most corrupt senator I've ever seen. Senator DeLong begs. Then he comes here, says the protest wants to have him removed. That's a big lie. Senator DeLong knows from his heart. It is not a good thing. It is not a good thing. It is not honorable. Never honorable to tell the public different things, then come in the corner and act differently. That is very wrong.
I hear they talk about precedents. I have seen precedents being done by this body. I saw the precedent in the removal of a Supreme Court justice, when from the very beginning there was no prescribed procedure as contained in the Constitution and required as a mandate of the Constitution to remove an official honor impeachment. You talk about precedent. You talk about precedent.
The National Teachers Association of Liberia in a More for Education campaign have called on the government to continue increasing the annual budget for education. In a statement, NTAL in a More for Education campaign said over the last 2 fiscal years, the government has increased the allocation towards education, something they described as a right move for the advancement of the education sector.
NTR, including the Move for Education campaign partners, want to extend profound thanks and appreciation to the government of Liberia for this incremental increase over the past 2 fiscal years. NTR and the Move for Education campaign partner are calling and appealing to the government of Liberia to continue increasing the national budget for the education sector and to allocate the minimum 20% in the 2020-2021 national budget. NTR and the Move for Education campaign is concerned with low budget allocation of the national budget for the education sector in Liberia. We want to inform the media and the general public by calling and appealing to the government of Liberia to see reason to increase the education sector national budget to minimum 20% in the upcoming 2020-2021 fiscal year. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, fellow Liberians, we are aware of the impact COVID-19 has caused on the education sector in Liberia that is already challenged. We are aware of the many challenges the Liberian education sector is facing, but we are appealing and calling on the government of Liberia to allocate minimum 20% of the national budget for the education sector by 2020-2021 fiscal year. If the minimum 20% allocation of the national budget for the education sector is achieved, the Ministry of Education, including universities, colleges, and other agencies and institutions that make up the education sector, will be able to address some of the major challenges the education sector is facing.
Reverend Johnson also released other key findings from a recent research conducted by the National Teachers Association and the Campaign for Education.
The Move for Education partners have conducted some researches and assessments. To name a few, the status of paid and unpaid teachers in the education sector conducted by NTR, education financing conducted by the Coalition for Transparency and Accountability in Education, COTE, 60% signature fee bonuses mentioned in the Education Reform Act of 2011 conducted by the Inclusive Development Initiative, RDI, among others. We are also pleased to share soft copies of the findings and recommendations of these researches and assessment with you, the media, and the general public. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, NTR and the Move for Education campaign want to join efforts of the government of Liberia through the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and NFIL to encourage teachers, education workers, and other stakeholders in the sector, including students and parents, to follow the public health regulations and guidelines announced by the government of Liberia. Some regulations and guidelines include: 1. Wash your hands with soap and clean water or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer regularly. 2. Wear face mask whenever you leave your home to go out in the public. 3. Observe social distancing from individuals, especially when you are ill or the person is ill. 4. Avoid a crowd of over 10 people. 5. When you feel ill, stay home to observe your condition or go to the clinic or hospital for checkup. 6. Avoid shaking hands and hugging with outsiders. Please follow these guidelines and regulations and others announced by the government of Liberia.
Liberia's permanent representative to the United Nations, D. Maxwell Kimia, has stressed the need for adequate and sustainable funding for the United Nations Resident Coordinating System. Ambassador Kimia says such move is essential to delivering a coherent and accountable response to national needs and priorities. He spoke during the opening section of a 5-day UN operational activities for development segment and interactive section with UN Secretary General recently.
General for his report, which provides valuable updates on the implementation of QCPR and the reform of the UN development system respectively. We anticipate that this review process will inspire and provide further guidance for the 2020 QCPR, which comes on the threshold of the Decade of Action for Sustainable Development. With this backdrop, we cannot overly emphasize the importance of an effective and efficient UN development system that provides direction and complements efforts at the country level to support the acceleration of the SDGs, particularly in view of the COVID-19 pandemic, strengthening national and local capacities, and support for poverty eradication with the goal of leaving no one behind. While we welcome the UN Secretary General's report in general on the repositioning of the UN development system, we particularly wish to highlight, as outlined in Chapter 7 of the report, the transition from repositioning to results, mobilizing an integrated whole of system response in support of the decade of action. It is laudable that the reinvigorated resident coordinator system is now in place, and the new system is taking shape with UN country teams. Liberia is a very good example of the prospects of the UN resident coordinator system.
He's Liberia's permanent representative to the UN, D. Maxwell Kimia. Well, viewers, if you just join us, it's a reminder you are watching Lntv News Live, and these are the top stories we follow. Civil law court orders guarantee Trust Bank Liberia to pay former employee Edward Freeman $250,000 United States dollars for damages. Liberian Senate endorses an investigation of Senator Darius Dillon over allegation that he breached the Senate's rules. National Teachers Association releases findings of key issues affecting the education sector in Liberia. And of the home front, the government of Gambia demands a credible investigation after his son of a diplomat was shot dead by U.S. police. All these stories plus much more. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we continue with more developments. Please keep watching. Thanks for rejoining us. Let's take more developments. An assessment report is being developed to highlight the preparedness and response plans of counties against COVID-19. The assessment report, developed by the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, covers counties' coordination, surveillance, social mobilization, logistics, and case management, among others. Enfield Director General Dr. Musoka Fala made the disclosure Wednesday in an ELBC interview.
So maybe the Central IMF, the Minister of Health support that to the Central IMF, but there are some things that we can do quickly before the water assessment is coming on. Like for example, we money a letter from the Minister of Health to allow the University of Liberia in St. to make available the gas dormitory and the conference room for their training and for the Holy Center. Those are things that we told them that we quickly will elevate to the level of the Minister of Health, and she can do that later. So those things that can be done quickly will be done. Like, from emphasis, we're going to work quickly to send some of the mobile team to go to those counties and provide practical hands-on training for those people to start collecting specimens. I mean, the cool thing was that all of them have the viral transfer in the counties, but they have not had a hands-on. They've done some of the work before. They just read the protocol, but if they can, and have some training, but they will need to do some practical hands-on how to collect specimens, which enhance their ability. So those are things that we try to move as quickly as possible. And my deputy, Jean, my colleague, my colleague is going to be working on trying to complement the training for POE staff quickly. She wants to do that. And one thing we saw between Lima and also Abu Wadasar, there is no holding center in case they see a suspected case. I think we want to do some at low cost in the beginning of tarpaulin or so to put up quickly in those points so that if there is a suspected case at any of those places, they can be able to isolate them. So the report will come, but at the same time, the off the phone with that I from the Bond County. There's a suspected case we're trying to quickly follow, and we need to push the lab to get the prioritize the county so we can have a quick turnaround time. So those are things that we have learned we need to move quickly.
Dr. Fala also said that there is no confirmed case of Lassa fever currently in the country.
Based on our lesson how we Lassa physically visiting the country help us a lot. We were able to realize that the environment was an issue about last minute people. So we came back, and just before Corona, I think in February, we were able to raise some funds based on the lesson we have from our visit. We sent a team that brought shovel bucket, the thing that we identified when our visit when we did that last year. And so Ms. Macaulay went with a team. The Enfield, we took actual buckets, we took a shovel to feed them. We went with the superintendent to work with them, and we initiated some work actually. And based on that visit, the subsequent visit, we were able to write a huge concept note for the World Bank, and the World Bank was able to help us with some at the time finding funding to get people in country. But you'll be very surprised. Was it 3-4 weeks ago, we got emails from LAC to say they can already say the Lassa outbreak is over because it has been 3 or 4 weeks. They are not seeing any new Lassa case in LAC that used to have Lassa cases. When we visited Bond and Nima, we also asked if they were suffering for Lassa going. Yes, they've been collecting specimens and sending them to Basolado to the lab, but it's been negative. And so it also helped us a lot based on the physical fight, and we'll still continue that. I mean, we'll move along. Ms. Macaulay will move along with the procurement of more ribavirin, with the procurement. So there's a whole intervention we developed as a result of that visit. I'm going to go on for 1 year. The important thing is that at least for like the road officially they don't testing all came back negative. They might have been sending specimen that all been coming back negative. And so they have not ignored the Lassa surveillance. So I think our visit is paid off. We did not yet come back with a report and share the report down, but immediately from our visit we were able to find $10,000, $15,000 with raw materials to take to the counties for the kind of initiative campaign. And so that's what kind of visit the people that go through the problem, and you come back, you find solution.
The effect of the coronavirus outbreak is being felt in every sector, and no business seems to be escaping the pinch of the pandemic. The livestock market is one business badly hit by the pandemic, especially the restriction on movements, mainly across borders. Lntv visited one of the Liberia's livestock markets on the Bourgeois Island and spoke to a dealer there.
It's not very easy. It's not easy. Because the coming of those cattle in Labrador is very slim. Things are very difficult when coming. Because since this, all border closed, and first of all, those are food. The coming of those cattle can really catch your heart. It's not easy. So most of the cattle that we bring in here, it is our own farming cattle. That the few cattle that are in Labrador, that's what we're trying to bring in closer to Montserrat, those who are closer to Montserrat. So that's why you saw, as you can see, the place is empty. Because we are catching difficulty to come in with our cattle.
This will definitely affect the price.
You already know when it's not easy here. When things not coming from Guinea and Mali, our family, we're not making family large the Guinea and Mali. So for the farmers that here, they're not having plenty cattle. So for those who will bring 1 or 2, you should know that it will be very costly. The best thing, because for us here, we always compare ourselves to a lazy people, we Liberians. Other countries, in our government giving those people the cattle. Those who are having businesses, those who are having little cash, they are investing their money in farming. They are investing their money in farming. And the outcome of this farming, what will be the benefit? It will produce more food. And that's why when you have money, you put it into farming, the animal farming, it can be anyone. And you know that things will be a little bit reasonable in your country. But when you're not making a farming, those who are doing it, you're coming from that country to come, you should know, crossing 1 or 2 borders, coming to your country, you know things will be difficult.
Well, Lntv also spoke to a butcher.
I said goat and cow meat very expensive now. Even the meat, in the market very expensive because to bring a cow from Guinea here now, they both get too much heart and the bottle. So when they can get to offer half price, so when we get a half price, we must sell a half price because we just have to find something for us to survive. It's not easy on us. So we're asking government at least to find solution, at least that the prices come down. Because we just say so now, we say whole day we stay, even now, no current. We sell the meat, it's not finished, we got to buy gas, so now the machine will go off. Then me will spoil in our hand. Then we hold the people because the meat is very expensive. Because no current, the whole Jamaica area no current, more than 3 months now, no current. So the thing is on hard and the meat price is very high.
So they meat you get them from Guinea?
Yeah, they get a cow from Guinea, we get a goat from Guinea. The goat will sell, some goat there will sell $150, some goat there will sell $250, some goat there even $300. Okay, the cow meat will get it 1,400, 1,300, 1,000, sometimes 900, all the better sizes. Then we sell 1 pound of meat for $550 now. Then goat meat is $800, like $1. So now your brother come to you and beg you, no, to help him. Because you're helping, you're not doing business. So it's very hard.
So tell me, how much you sell something like
The cow here like this now, we get one for 50, like $50 United States dollar. So now when you bake her, we give her, 8,000 like $1. So now when you bake her, we get it for 35, 40 US. Well, one more program buy it because monkey the meat, everybody want to eat, but you're not getting money. The business is very, very hard. So no way for people to get can buy it fast.
Well, it was a day of fun as the Morovia Cycling Club Wednesday joined other bikers around the world in celebrating World Bicycle Day. As part of the activities, bike riders and members of the Morovia Cycling Club staged a bike ride from Winners Chapel in Congo Town through central Morovia to create awareness on the importance of bicycling. Lntv Wednesday morning spoke with some of the riders who turned out for the exercise.
Today is World Cycling Day, and we, as riders of bike in Liberia, we decided to celebrate it for the first time in Liberia. We want to create so much awareness about bike riding. We want to let the other road users to know that bike riders are also road users, and biking is good exercise for everybody.
I'm glad to be in such a gathering like this because as far as I'm concerned, like my older brother said, today is World Cycling Day precisely in Liberia. So this is a large awareness we're trying to create that our younger brothers and sisters will come out with us tomorrow.
What you people are trying to create?
Trying to create that passion for our young brothers and sisters who are coming up, who also have that, will be motivated to join into the cycling riding.
The day is very important because Liberia, this is the first time, as I learned from member of the club, today is the first time ever that Liberia is celebrating this day like this. And some of us are just joining this club, and we hope to encourage other members of our society to be a part of this club, which will help to improve our own health condition.
So
Well, let's now take our foreign development. The government of Gambia has demanded a credible investigation after the son of the diplomat was shot dead by U.S. police. 39-year-old Mamadou Lamin Cissé was shot after a car chase in Georgia on Friday morning, according to preliminary investigation by Georgia Bureau of Investigation, that's the JBI. He was pronounced dead on the scene. The police said he had produced a gun. The shooting comes amid widespread protests after a U.S. police officer killed George Floyd last week. Well, viewers, on that note, this is how we draw the curtains on tonight's edition of Lntv News Live. But before we go, a recap of the major stories we follow. Civil law court orders Guarantee Trust Bank Liberia to pay former employee Edward Freeman $250,000 United States dollars for damages. Liberian Senate endorses an investigation of Senator Darius Dillon over allegation that he breached the Senate's rules. National Teachers Association releases findings of key issues affecting the education sector in Liberia. And off the home front, the government of Gambia demands a credible investigation after the son of a diplomat was shot dead by U.S. police. Many thanks to our entire production team for making tonight's edition a success. Many thanks to you, our valued viewers, for watching. Many thanks to Sekou Kroma and his team at Top TV in Zwedru, Grangida County for relaying our programs and news. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Cecilia Legally Clark are anchored. Good night from Painesville. Please keep safe.